Okay, welcome to this candidate forum at Whitefish Bay Village President and two village trustees. My name is Haines, and I will be your moderator this evening. The candidates in attendance are incumbent Village President Julie Siegel, her opponent Ann O'Connor, and the candidates running for two village trustee seats: the incumbent Gary Davis, the incumbent Tara Sarabin, and Will Demet. Thank you for attending. Thank you to the members of our community for attending this event. And thank you to the North Shore Republicans for organizing and sponsoring. Before I begin, I just want to run through the rules and format for tonight's forum. This event will last for up to 90 minutes. There will be two portions. The first for the village president position, and the second for the candidates vying for the two village trustee seats. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes for an opening statement. Then the candidates will be posed a series of questions relevant to our village. They, in turn, will have up to 2 minutes in which to respond. We're then hoping to be able to ask a couple questions from the audience. We have some index cards at the entrance of the room. If you didn't grab one and you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand and we'll help get you one a card. And then to close each portion, the candidates will be giving closing statements. None of the candidates have been briefed on any of the questions, and out of respect for the candidates, we ask that you avoid displaying any signs of approval or disapproval to any statements or positions given by our forum participants. With that said, let's begin. Earlier, the candidates drew numbers to see who would go first. Julie Siegel won, and so she will start with an opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Julie Siegel, and I'm the current village president. I'm running for re-election, and I believe I'm the right person to continue to serve this village. I bring experience, leadership, and the proven ability to build consensus. During my 6 years on the board, 3 as president, I am proud of our accomplishments. We've maintained a high level of service, built our economic base, and invested in infrastructure, all while holding the line on taxes. I have the knowledge and experience. I'm a member of the CDA, the chair of the Planning Commission, president-elect of the North Shore Fire Department Board of Directors, and a member of the ICC. Under my leadership, the village adopted a 15-year capital improvement plan. This plan integrates much-needed sanitary and storm infrastructure improvements with routine capital projects and does it in a way that is fiscally responsible and reasonable. FEMA awarded Whitefish Bay a $4.1 million grant to help pay for much of the work being done at Cahill Park. Additionally, Whitefish Bay is using $50,000 grant from MMSD towards the street reconstruction on Bartlett Avenue. We are aware of and will continue to explore any available funds that can be used to offset costs of taxpayers. Silver Spring seems to be an issue in this election. Let me tell you that I think Silver Spring is strong and vibrant. The village has retail incentive grants and facade grants, and we work with the bid to help both existing and new businesses improve their buildings. West of Santa Monica is thriving with many new businesses, including new regional and local stores, adding to the already successful flavor industry. The addition of the Mandel project is going to add significant tax dollars to the village. While all the above is significant, it is my ability to lead, to attract and retain both great employees and citizen volunteers, to be an effective facilitator, and to have the best interests of all residents in mind. Issues are viewed on a timely basis, decisions evenly applied, and multiple points of view are taken into consideration when making decisions. I am the leader, but my role is not without support. I have the support of 5 current board members, past board members, current CDA, Plan Commission, Appeals, Art, Library board members, and many members of the community. The strength of my leadership allows me to attract and retain quality people to serve on boards and committees. I am able to provide leadership to the process. Most decisions made by the Village Board are unanimous. The Village Board is tasked with setting policy, and under my leadership, the Board has made decisions that allow for investment in infrastructure, the revitalization of Silver Spring, and the delivery of a high level of services to residents, all while holding the line on taxes. I'm asking for your vote on April 1st. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann O'Connor, and I'm the other candidate for Whitefish Bay Village President, aka the person with the green yard sign that you see around town. I'd like to thank you all for coming this evening, and I'd like to thank President Siegel and the Trustee Servant, Mr. Davis, and Mr. Donat, as well as North Shore Republicans for organizing this event this evening. This is the sort of event that I sort of envisioned when I decided to run for the position last autumn. I think it's really healthy to have forum and discussion for village topics, and the last time when President Siegel ran unopposed, there wasn't always the opportunity, so I'm glad that we have this forum tonight to talk about the issues, so thank you for coming. I want to tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a resident for the past 8 years. My husband and I moved here from Chicago. We were both originally from Wisconsin, and we moved back here to raise our triplets, who are in the middle school, 6th grade, 12 years old. In a way, it was sort of a homecoming. My husband was born here in Whitefish Bay on Larkin Street, so we're very pleased to be back in the community. I'm not a politician. I consider myself a community leader. I've been very involved as a volunteer. I've been on the Civic Foundation board for 5 years, and currently I'm the president of that organization. And as such, I've been very close to seeing the workings of government. I've also spent many volunteer hours in other organizations such as Whitefish Bay Little League and the Garden Club. And I've also brought thousands of dollars of grant money to the community as part of my volunteer activities. So I'm very committed to Whitefish Bay. During my volunteer activities, I've also been exposed to some of the workings of government that have caused me question. And when I asked other residents about their concerns, we often have many things in common, that we see sometimes it's very difficult to have your voice heard on the topics that matter to you, or sometimes it's difficult to get information on issues that are also important to you. So I would like to see increased communication in the village, as well as increased transparency, and that is part of my platform. I intend to listen, plan, and lead. Is that my time? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to start the question portion of the forum. So each candidate will be given a question and have up to 2 minutes to respond. And we're going to start with Ann. These next 2 questions relate to Silver Spring Drive. Do you agree with the village's tax incremental financing plan for the revitalization of Silver Spring? If not, what specific steps would you do differently?
In theory, I definitely agree with a TIF program for Silver Spring. I think it's very important for us to build Silver Spring and increase its vibrancy. And the measure is whether or not a TIF will bring new business that would otherwise not come to the street. And I think that we need to have a lot of different tools in our toolbox for attracting and retaining businesses on Silver Spring. In my role as a Civic Foundation board member, I've been the liaison to the Business Improvement District, and that is an organization made up of landlords and business owners on the street who have a very close view of the multiple problems and challenges facing the street. And a TIF is a good part of that, but I think we need to also expand and look at some of the other issues that we're facing, which include parking for one of them. And we need to work together, bring all the stakeholders to the table, include the Business Improvement District and the CDA, as well as residents and all other stakeholders have an interest in Silver Spring. I'd also like to see that when TIFs are implemented, that we sort of maximize how we negotiate the contracts that take advantage of it. And when we're building our revenue base that we use the resident interest as the focus, and we negotiate terms that are the most favorable to our community. So shortening up the payback time on the loans and having those projects contribute to our revenue base as soon as possible.
Okay, Julie?
Same question.
Same question.
I'm a huge supporter of the TIF, and the TIF that we negotiated with the Mandel Group was phenomenal for the village, actually. And the reason you do a TIF is to entice the development, and this was a great development. And I can give you a couple quick reasons why. The village continues to operate and maintain the surface parking lot for that. So we have 103 spaces that used to be open lot spaces, now they're covered. We also paid ourselves before we had these two parking lots, we paid ourselves $1,080,000 for the land rights that sold to the Mandel Group. Even though we don't lose any of the parking, we don't lose any of the use of the land. So this is sort of really a have your cake and eat it too scenario, because that land really didn't have any value, and we got $1 million. They said the public parking is now open, and the developer agreed to construct and sell the public parking at a discounted price to us. The TIF receives, which is unusual for a TIF, we receive an annual payment to offset any costs to administer the TIF. So the village, there are some costs associated with managing and running it and working with the Mandel Group on the TIF. And before Mandel gets paid on the TIF money, the village receives money. And then the other thing is that no public debt was issued that directly benefits the developer. So the developer receives some payment from the TIF, but only after us. And I think another thing about the Mandel project, and it's not really related to the TIF, but it really says, you know, why we wanted the project, is that we're going to have 83 new apartments. And these apartments will most likely be for empty nesters who in turn are going to sell their houses, hopefully to families with young children. So the school district was very, very supportive of this project and this TIF, and they really wanted to get this in. So I don't know how much time I have. Okay, I'll end it there. Thank you.
Okay, the next one will go back to Julie. What are your views on the mix of businesses on Silver Spring? What, if anything, should the village do to recruit businesses to locate here?
I think we have a really nice mix of businesses. I mean, if you, like I said in my opening, if you go down to the west end of Silver Spring, we've been here 22 years. It was never a destination side of the village. I mean, right now you've got this regional bike store, first one in the Milwaukee area. They wanted to come to Silver Spring. They're opening a second store in Grafton. The pizza place, the first one outside of the Madison area, they opened here on Silver Spring. These are choices that these people are making. Dunkin' Donuts, hugely successful. Jimmy John's can't wait to get open. These are businesses that had choices, and they chose to come to Silver Spring. I think also we have a nice mix. We have coffee, we have bagels, we have bakery, we have lots of things. One of the things I think that we do have is we have a lot of non-retail kinds of businesses, haircut, massage, more of the service industry things. I think it creates a nice mix. You come, you get a massage, you maybe go get a cup of coffee. I do think that there is this difference between what government can do and what private enterprise can do. And we can have grants, TIF grant, you know, we can work with the developer to create some TIF districts. We can have facade grants and other kinds of grants. But a lot of this is just capitalism in the market. The market has to self-correct and take care of itself.
Yeah.
I would like to see the village be a little bit more proactive in their approach to Silver Spring instead of reactive. We tend to allow people to come to us, and I would like to see us sort of define the image of the street, make it a destination, and really give it some image that we all decide on as a village that we would like to see. And then actively pursue the kind of businesses that we would like to fill in where we see gaps. So I think we can allow capitalism to work with natural market forces, but I think we can also provide incentives and look at what other communities have done to sort of maximize the mix of retail on the street, not only for residents who would like to see things possibly be a little bit different, but also for people coming outside of the community. We're very close to Bayshore, and we could sort of piggyback on people who are out shopping for the day, but really give our village sort of that unique feel, maybe something vintage. We've got great character, and I think we could make it a very unique shopping experience, a destination. I think we could use some more restaurants on the street. It's been said that to have a restaurant or two or three, it's better to have multiple restaurants because diners want to be assured that if they step foot on the street, if one is full, that they can go to another. So I would like to see more discussion about what we'd like Silver Spring to be in its optimal form, and then recruit businesses accordingly.
Okay, the next topic relates to village finances and tax rates. The first one will go to Ann. In determining the village's annual budget, given the choice between raising taxes and reducing expenses, which one would you choose?
Well, again, I think there has to be a discussion that we have to have a mix and a balance. And one of the best ways that we can keep our tax interest or our tax levels steady is by examining different ways to increase our revenue base. So when we are bringing new developments to the street, we have to really keep an eye on the timeline in which those projects will be paying us back and will be adding to our revenue base.
Julie?
I have a couple thoughts on that. And one thing that I didn't neglect to mention in the TIF, which does relate to this, is TIF districts are allowed to pay out at 27 years. Our TIF with Mandel is going to be paying out in 20 years. Whitefish Bay raised their taxes 2 cents per thousand last year. So on a $400,000 home, your taxes went up $8. All that without any reduction in services. And how did we do that? Well, we found a lot of cost savings. We changed the insurance for the employees. We saved $500,000 on insurance savings. The other thing that we do really, really well to save money is we share services with other municipalities. The dispatch, a North Shore dispatch, was formed this year, saving money. It was Shorewood, Glendale, Whitefish Bay. They were down in the basement here, a new facility in Bayside. The North Shore Fire Department, we renegotiated that funding formula to ensure that all 7 entities stayed together. I have a 2-page list here of things that we share. North Shore Health, the development, we do recreation department with the school district. We do joint bidding with Shorewood with mill and overlay projects. So this administration and this staff looks for every single way to share services, to reduce costs, and to provide services at a minimal tax increase. Thank you.
Okay, working off village services, what are the top priorities in terms of the services the village provides to its residents? What are your top priorities? Julie?
Well, I think that when you think about the top services when you think about Whitefish Bay, I think about the sense of community, the public safety, and the schools. In the village, you can take away sort of the school piece because we don't really have much to do with that. But when you talk about the sense of community and the safety, we have a terrific police department. They are responsive and available and caring, and they really want to do the best for the village. When you talk about the sense of community, I think of things like maintaining the sidewalks so that, when my kids were little, we could go walk up the stroller, and, today we, walk the dog. So it's the maintenance of the sense of community. You know, when I come back from work, I want to know that my garbage is picked up. I don't even want to have to think about it, that it's not going to be picked up. I want to know that my streets are plowed. I just want to know that things are getting taken care of, and I don't even have to think about it. And I think that's what this staff does so well. And so when you think of sense of community, it just is. As residents, we don't really even have to think of things. You know, those are the kinds of things that make this a desirable place to live. Thank you.
I think a lot of people moved to this community because of its access to the lakefront, its walkability, its commutability to downtown, access to Silver Spring. So I think that sort of sets the priorities for us, as well as President Siegel mentioned the school district, which does get the largest chunk of our tax money. So I think maintaining our infrastructure is extremely important. Keeping an eye on redesigning things or designing things that focus on pedestrian safety and traffic safety, as well as our personal and property safety, because that is important to residents. And I think we've chosen or stayed in this community also because we feel relatively safe. So definitely our police force is worth our investment. I think, again, we need a long-term plan that sort of sets those priorities as a written goal. I would like to see a stronger, comprehensive working plan that pulls and prioritizes resident needs and actually quantifies it, so that with every decision that we make going ahead in our community, we understand that it aligns with resident priorities. And although I think we probably have these shared values and goals, as I stated, like the schools and the walkability and the commutability, it would be nice to actually have that documented in a strong, comprehensive plan that guides our decision making in the future.
Okay, talking about streets and infrastructure. What steps should the village take to maintain its streets, sewers, and infrastructure? And
we have the 15-year capital improvement plan that primarily addresses maintenance of our infrastructure, of our sewer systems, our streets, and our sidewalks. One thing I would like to see in addition to the capital improvement plan is a plan that specifically addresses flood remediation. And I would like to know that whatever we plan for flood remediation in the future takes into account and fully acknowledges the contributing factors to the 2010 flooding. And to date, I don't think it's been apparent and obvious to a lot of us what necessarily those contributing factors were and what plans we have to remediate for potential flooding in the future as well.
As Ann stated, we do have a 15-year capital improvement plan that this board spent lots of time analyzing, thinking about, negotiating, and we did it in such a way that it was affordable to the taxpayers. We have a problem with the aging infrastructure. We absolutely do. And this current board is completely committed to working on that. So having said that, in 2014, this coming summer, the board is budgeted just over $11 million in storm, street, all sorts of capital improvement projects that the village is going to be working on. Last year we had over $10 million, and that wasn't including the $4.1 million grant. The village is moving forward. One of the things that I hear a lot of is that people would like the streets reconstructed. It's very expensive to reconstruct the street. This past year, last year in particular, and a little bit the year before, we started a mill and overlay program. It's been hugely successful. Come in, take the first couple inches off your street, put some blacktop on. It's not a huge, it's not free for sure, but it's not anywhere close to a street reconstruction. People can ride their bikes. They're very, very happy. Residents are very happy with this program. And I do think that we have with our engineers, and we have this 15-year plan, it is evaluated every single year. So in theory, the board approved a 15-year plan, but it is at budget time, that plan is gone over with a fine-tooth comb. We look at Is the project absolutely necessary? Is it still engineered to the best engineering standard? And financially, does this piece still make sense? So even though we have our 15-year plan, every year we are looking at pieces of the puzzle to see if we should move or redo or add something different. So we are thinking about this. It is very important.
Okay, the next topic is village communications. What are your ideas for communicating village government news and business with residents? Julie?
I believe that we have some communication. We do more, absolutely. We have a Facebook page. Well, first of all, let's start. We have a web page. Very accessible, very new, very easy to navigate. All the trustees' names, addresses, pictures, phone numbers are all there. Very easy. All of us are completely accessible. I have no problem. Nobody ever seems to have a problem finding me if they want to talk. Having said that, we also have a Facebook page. We also have things that you can sign up for on the eDistribute. And we have 3,500 people that sign up for the constant contact and the manager's message, but only 150 people have signed up to receive our budget, our announcements of when our board meetings are. So people sometimes say, well, I didn't know what was going on, but you can sign up for those. And every month when I write my article for the Bay Leaves, I try and press the fact, please sign up for these, please sign up for these. It's easy, you go to the village website, right in the middle is eDistribute. You can sign up for police announcements. The manager puts out a constant contact every 3 weeks, and we also, like this forum was announced, so 3,500 people the village sent out on our list. So we have the Facebook, meetings are announced. They're not, well, the Patch was a good source. I think the Now does a terrific job. They come to most of our meetings, and I think Mike does a really darn good job.
I would definitely like to see increased communication and more consistent communication. As an example, I do sign up for the email blasts that tell you when the board meetings are occurring for the general board. But one thing I found of concern was with the recent meeting that convened to discuss the resignation of the village manager. That meeting was not posted, nor was it noticed through the regular email blast system. It did convene into closed session. However, to my way of thinking, if you sign up for the email list of regular board meetings, at least the notice of that meeting should have been included. So I would definitely like to see more consistency in communication. I also think that the meetings of the other boards and commissions are not necessarily very easy to find. If you go to look at the meeting minutes and agendas, they're not always there, and they're not necessarily posted in a timely fashion. So if you'd like to follow up on what was discussed at some of the other boards and commissions, and some very important decisions are being made there with our tax money. So I would like to be able to, in a timely fashion, access the minutes and find out if I can't actually attend that meeting, what sort of decisions were made in those meetings, so I can keep abreast of local issues. And I have to say, I recently did a search for our village Facebook page, and I didn't find it, so I guess I'm surprised to hear that we have one. That must be sort of a recent development. But I think there's definitely room to be more consistent and more open in our communication, so that when there's a topic of interest to you, you're able to find out. Some of our neighboring communities, in their email blast for meetings, will give you a summary of what's about to be discussed on the upcoming meeting, so that you don't necessarily have to dig into the link and go into the village website. It's very conversational, and it makes it easy to get access to information. Oh, Redford, thank you.
Okay. Regarding sewers, the village is engaged in an extensive program of fixing the sewers to avoid the problems of prior to year's flooding. To pay for this, the village has created a new stormwater utility fee. Do you agree with this manner of paying the cost of these improvements? If not, what other methods or sources of funding would you suggest be used? Ed?
I believe that the stormwater utility was created in part because we are legislated as to how much we can increase our tax base. So it is another source of revenue for paying for some of these infrastructure changes that is most likely necessary. But I think too, if we're thinking creatively about how we build our revenue base overall, that can help relieve potentially some of our tax burden as well. So I think we need to look at the very big picture of what we do on Silver Spring as well, and how that can add to relief of our tax burden overall.
I obviously am in favor of the stormwater utility since the board that I am on and lead created it. I was at the Village Hall today and I picked up 3 pamphlets relating to the stormwater utility that the village, everybody should have at least gotten mailed the green one, I know for sure. And the reason, Ann is partially correct, the reason that we did create the stormwater utility is that there are some tax implications coming out of Madison in terms of the ability to raise the tax levy. But part of the reason that we did this was to capture the JCC, the school district, the churches, because they're big users of stormwater. And if we put this on the tax roll, they don't pay. So there was a lot of discussion among board members of what's fair and what's equitable and who should be paying their fair share. And so there are some tax reasons, but the real reason is that we wanted all the users of the stormwater, and those are some big users: the school district, the JCC, the churches. These are large pieces of land. They have a lot of stormwater, and we wanted them to be able to share into what we felt was their usage.
Okay, we've got a lot of questions from the audience, and so I'll pick a handful of them that we'll go through here. First one is regarding the Mandel project. I understand that the Mandel project has been delayed since October because of the water level problems in construction of the parking facility. How will this delay impact the completion of the project and anticipated future tax payments? I'll start with Julie.
Well, it won't delay any of the future tax payments, I can tell you that, because actually the Mandel company has already started paying the TIF. So this year they've already paid, I think it's $120,000 in taxes for the TIF money. Next year it jumps up to $345,000. So that they're already paying the taxes. Yes, they are delayed. There's no question about it. This was a crummy winter to get any developer. And you talk to any developer in the city, and everything is delayed all over the place. You can't help the weather. But they are moving forward, and they're draining the piece as quickly as they can. In fact, the steel piling that you see there you're up and running, right? They did that. They created a sort of a bathtub effect. And so they're slowly draining that water out of there so that it does not have any impact on the village water table. So there are some things where you can't just say, well, you're delayed, hurry up and do it quicker, because there are other implications for the water table and the surrounding areas and other things like that. So yeah, they're a little delayed, but that's okay. We're working with them and we'll work it all out.
The delay in construction does have an effect on traffic and parking and the business district. So I just want to ensure that the terms of the contract are fulfilled and that we're keeping abreast of all the changes in construction, and make sure that we're in constant communication about the progress of the project, and make sure that we, again, enforce the contract as written between the village and Mandel.
Okay, the next question. It seems like these days, if you are handling your garbage properly, there are a lot more recyclables than garbage. Yet garbage pickup is every week, and recycle is once a month. Are there any thoughts about having more frequent recycle pickup, like many of our surrounding communities? I'll start again.
This has been addressed a few times by Village Hall, and in the past it's been said that we can't afford to increase our recycling. I would like to see that we reopen that discussion and re-examine the cost structure. The village is charged tipping fees for the garbage, and we are paid for the recyclable material. Other communities have figured out a way to make it work so that there's more frequent recycling pickup, more on par with the frequency of garbage pickup. So I would like to take a look at the financing of that situation to see if we can perhaps increase the recycling pickup.
I too have gotten a few phone calls about increased recycling. However, based on the way that we currently collect garbage, we have one guy who picks up recycling. It takes him a whole month to get through the entire village. So we've got one guy, one truck dedicated to recycling. If we were to increase it more, you're not just looking at a small increase. You're looking at buying a $400,000 truck plus hiring another person for, over $100,000 in benefits, and so you're looking at over a $500,000 investment to add a recycling truck. So that's the start. I have had some discussions with the manager and the engineering staff about looking into the future about maybe changing the way garbage is picked up as a whole, and at that time the village would be addressing the recycling issue at that same time.
Okay, next question. What do you consider to be the most important issue for Whitefish Bay in the next 10 years? Let's start with Julie.
I think the most important issue is that we maintain the value of the village, that we maintain the value of our housing stock, we maintain the value of Silver Spring, and that we just work hard to maintain the value, the tax base. And how do we do that? Well, and if you maintain the value, you maintain the desirability to live here. And how do we do that? We ensure that we are working to fix the sewers, the streets, the sanitary. We ensure that we are moving forward so that we reduce any amount of flooding that would ever happen in the future. This is a huge piece of making sure that the village maintains its value. I also think that you maintain the value of a village in terms of school district, in terms of community. I talked about it earlier, sort of the three pillars, the community, the safety, and the schools. And I think as we work really hard to keep all our services up and everything else like that, we keep our value up and we keep the tax base up. And that maintains the values of the houses and the desirability of the village.
I think that Silver Spring is a key component of what we need to examine over the next 10 years, as well as maintaining our infrastructure. And I would like to see us asking ourselves, where do we see ourselves in 10 years, 20 years? Some other communities do a very good job of envisioning their long-term future through long-term planning. They have focus groups, they have surveys, and they have visioning sessions. And they ask residents what they would like to see for their community in the future. So I would like to see some more comprehensive long-term planning that really takes resident interests and desires and documents those in a plan so that we can make our decisions accordingly.
Okay, the next question says, publication article stated that Whitefish Bay is leaving $100,000 in unused MMSD funds on the table. Could you please elaborate?
There are two MMSD funds that are currently available basically as a rebate to municipalities who are willing to implement best practices and green infrastructure. And I first became aware of these funds a few months ago when I made a phone call to the fund manager at MMSD in regards to potentially implementing these at Craig Council Park, where we have also received a grant from the Sweetwater Foundation to implement some green infrastructure. And I was informed at the time that I was the first person from Whitefish Bay to have phoned to inquire about those funds. So other communities have taken advantage of them, and I'm concerned that we have not yet applied for those. I would like to see those used in some upcoming programming in the village. They can be used towards flood remediation. They potentially could have been used at Cahill Park in addition to the basin project. So I would like to see those funds taken advantage of. They are set to expire soon.
Thank you. So MMSD has 2 grants. They're each about $50,000. The first one is the Best Management Practice Award, and we are currently slating that money for the Bartlett Avenue median. The work plan for the full amount of $49,000 will be used this summer. This grant, if for some reason Bartlett doesn't go forward, which in all likelihood it looks like it will, this grant can be rolled over into our lateral program. So this grant in no way, shape, or form is going to expire. We are using this $50,000 either on Bartlett or we're going to roll it into our lateral program. The second grant is the Green Solutions for Separate Infrastructure and Sewers, or GSSIS. And this is a very narrow and difficult reimbursement for green infrastructure. It's not for stormwater management. And our staff has known about this for a long time. And I talked to the new interim manager, and he is aware of it. Our staff is aware of it, and they are exploring ideas to use this currently. We are not leaving any money on the table. Thank you.
Okay, we're at the conclusion portion of this of the president part of the forum today. And each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes for a closing statement. And we'll start with Ann.
If elected president, I would very much like to see resident priorities or resident-focused expression of their interests made a priority. I would like to see that incorporated into long-term planning for our village. I would like to re-examine both our government structure as well as all the policies and procedures that are currently in place. I'd like to take a fresh look at existing expenses and make sure that our funds are being spent in the way that best serves residents. So I ask you to please consider a vote for me on April 1st. Thank you.
I want to first thank the North Shore Republicans for sponsoring this event. It is important that residents do get to hear directly from candidates. And as an aside, when you talk about planning, I do have the Silver Spring Master Plan and the comprehensive plan that was mandated by the state that was last done in 2009. So we do plan. I believe I have earned another term as village president. I have the knowledge base to continue to move the village forward in a positive direction. I have the support of current and past board members, as well as many members of the community. I'm a proven leader with an ability to get things done. I lead by consensus and willing to listen to all sides and lead meaningful discussions. The infrastructure issues are being addressed in a measured and thoughtful way. Services to residents continue to be delivered at a high level, all while holding the line on taxes. Silver Spring is enjoying success. We have new businesses that are doing well and established ones that provide stability and draw their loyal customers to the street. The Mandel Project is going to add to the vibrancy of the street by providing a captive audience within feet of restaurants, shops, and services. Let me conclude by quoting a letter that recently went out from a supporter. The couple who sent this out had a house that was flooded up to their first floor in 2010. So Meredith and Tom write, Julie Siegel has shown leadership, experience, intelligence, patience, courtesy, and empathy. We believe she deserves another term and that the village will be best served by her continued leadership. The village presidency is not an entry-level job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to both candidates. You gave us a lot of great